Welcome to our first formal math lesson. We're going to do it in 3 parts. The first part of our lesson is going to be a word problem. So each of you have been given a dry erase board with a marker and an eraser. If you for some reason don't have it or you don't see it in your packet, you can always use just a plain piece of paper and pencil. That'll work just as well. The first part's going to be a word problem. We're going to go through it together. The second part is going to be some kind of counting, just enough to get us going, get our brains working. And then the third part of the lesson is going to be the actual lesson, the new learning that you're going to be doing. So we're going to be starting with place value. Module 4 is place value. So it's important that you stay with me for the lessons. Don't go ahead of me. If you go ahead of me, then you're going to get lost. And some of these might seem easy to start. They're going to get more difficult very quickly. So please stay with me. So let's begin with part 1, our word problem. So let's take a look at our word problem. I have 10 pennies in my right hand and 10 pennies in my left hand. How many pennies do I have altogether? Now, in your head, you're probably thinking, I know the answer to this, and I'm hoping that you do. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that we show our work. Now, if you had this problem in front of you, what I would have you do is circle our numbers so that we know what it is that we're dealing with. So I have a 10 here and I have a 10 here. I'm going to underline the word that helps us to understand what we're doing. Are we adding or are we subtracting? And in this case, we are adding, because all together tells us that we're adding. We're putting 2 numbers together. And then we can box the question, because that's what we know we need to answer. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a picture of the 10 in my right hand, the 10 in my left hand. And I always do it using the 10 frame. So let me show you what that means. I'm going to draw a 10. Okay? And then we need to draw 10 more. So I can do it one of 2 ways. I can draw them out here or I could draw them underneath. So I'm going to draw them over here. And because we have 10 more, I can go ahead and make another 10 frame. So I actually have 2 10 frames. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 10 plus 10 equals, well, how are we going to figure this out? We can do it one of 2 ways. We can say, oh, I know, 10 plus 10 is 20. That's a doubles fact. You know that. Or if I'm not really sure, what I can do is I could take my 10, start with that, and then count on by punching that number out. So I can go 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So 20 is our answer. We're going to put 20 here, and we're going to put 20 here. Now, we have to do our number bond. And don't forget, you have to label your number bond so we know what we're talking about. So I know I had 10 in my right hand, and I'm going to label that R. And my other part is going to be 10 in my left hand. So what should I label this? Good. If you said P for pennies, I would agree with you. And again, we just punched out 10 and counted on, and we came up with 20 as our answer. So we can go ahead and put that here. Now we need a number sentence. Do you think you know what the number sentence is going to be? You should, because we did it right here. We had 10 plus 10 equals 20. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to box the 20 to remind us that it needs to go in the box here. Are you with me so far? The last part is to answer the questions. So I wanted to know, how many pennies do I have all together? So we need to create a statement answering that question. So I know, because I have a 20 here, and 20 here, my answer is 20. And I'm going to write my statement. I have 20 pennies. And that's how you're going to do your word problems. Each and every day, we're going to have a word problem, and it's going to look just like this. So always have your whiteboard, your marker, and your eraser ready. The next thing you're going to need is your green books, your green module books. So have those handy. part 2. We're going to do some happy counting today. And for those of you that don't remember, happy counting goes something like this. We're going to start counting forward, and I'm going to have my thumb up. When I do my thumb upside down, then that means we're going to count backwards. When I have my thumb just like this, that means that you stop. So you have to be watching me as we do it. Today what we're going to do is we're going to be counting by tens. So let's just practice that first. We'll go from 0 to 100, counting by tens. So do it with me. Ready? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start, but you have to pay attention to me and see if we can do it together. Here we go. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. How'd you do? Did you stay with me? Are your brains getting warmed up? Okay, so part 3 is coming up, and what we're going to do is our first lesson in our Module 4. Okay, so here we are with part 3. I want you to take a look at the cubes I have here on my table. Can you tell how many cubes I have? I'm sure the answer is no, because if you take a look, they're all jumbled together and it's kind of hard to count them. So what we're going to do is we can go ahead and start counting by ones, but that might take us a little longer. And what happens if we get interrupted? Then we're going to lose track of where we're at and we have to start all over again. I'm going to show you an easier way to do this. What we're going to do is look at these in groups of 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lump all of the cubes in groups of 10. I can't have any more than 10 in one group. Okay, we have our groups of 10. So what I did was I snapped them together and I only put 10 in a row. You can't have any more than 10. Remember, we're going to be counting by tens. That's why we practiced that earlier. Let's just make sure I have 10 in my group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, I have 10. Now, let's see how many groups of 10 that I have. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 4 groups of 10. Does that mean I have 4 cubes? No. So I want you to listen to how I'm saying it. I'm asking you, how many groups of 10 do I have? So I have 4 groups, right? Isn't that what I just asked you? Now, I want to know, how many cubes do I have all together? Well, that's a different question. So you have to really be listening to the question that I'm asking you. So what we're going to do is we're going to count by tens. Watch how easy this is. Ready? 10, 20, 30, 40. I have 40 cubes. So all of those cubes put out were 40 cubes. And what I did was I just lumped them into groups of 10 to make it that much easier to count. Isn't that a cool trick? So counting by tens, that's why we have you practice that all the time. Now, let me show you something else. I have some more cubes. So again, how many do I have? Well, we're going to do the same thing. What we're going to do is we're going to put them into groups of 10. So let's see how many groups of 10 I can make here. So let's take a quick look. In looking at it, I'm not sure I'm going to have that many groups of 10. But what we're going to do is see how many I have. So I have one group of 10, but then I have these single ones left over. So if I count this, I'm going to count 10, 11, 12. So I have 12 cubes altogether. Now I want to show you something. Watch how I do my number bond for this. So if I do it here like this, I have one stick of 10, right? So I have how many cubes? Yes, 10 cubes. So I know I have 10 cubes here, and I have 2 single cubes. So 10 plus 2 more is what? Well, let's punch it out. 10, 11, 12. So 12 is my answer. So what I'm doing is I'm breaking my number bond into my tens, my 10 sticks, and my single ones. That's how I can break it apart. Now, we're going to be going into your workbooks. Okay, in your green workbooks, we're going to be on page 2. For those of you that don't have workbooks, these workbooks can be found on Engage New York, and they're under Module 4 for mathematics, and it's for grade 1. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the first problem together. So the page looks something like this. So we're going to take the first one together. Now, I hope you have your pencil handy. What it's asking us to do is says circle groups of 10 and then write the number. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So I'm going to look here, and the first thing I notice is that I have 5 in each of these. Now, I know 5 plus 5 equals, yes, 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle 2 groups of 5 to give me a 10 because it wants us to circle 10. So watch how I do this and do it with me. I'm going to put a circle around here because I know that that's a group of 10. Now I'm going to put a circle around the next one and a circle around the last one. So now what I need to do is I need to count by tens to see how many grapes I have. So if I take a look, I have 3 groups, so we need to count by tens 3 times. 10, 20, 30. So there are, fill in the blank, 30 grapes. What I want you to do now is continue on with the rest of page 2. Let's look at page 3. Looks like this. What we're going to do is do problem number 9 together. Now again, it says make a number bond to show tens and ones. But what I also want you to do is I'm going to want you to circle your groups of 10 so it helps you a little bit. So you have this group of grapes. Don't mind my drawing. And then you have something that looks like this. Okay? So here we are. So what I want you to do is I want you to circle your groups of 10. Well, I know this is a group of 10, and I know this is a group of 10. So now what I want you to do is, let's see if we can't fill in our number bond with our groups of 10s and our ones. So let's take a look. I know I have 2 groups of 10, but that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking how many are there all together in those 2 groups. So I have 10, 20. So I have 20 tens in tens. And how many loose ones do I have? Well, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7. 20 plus 7 is 27. Now I want to show you something. The 2 from the 20 is carrying up, isn't it? And then the 7 comes up and takes the place of the 0. So I want you to hear it. I want you to listen to me closely. The number is 27. And that's going to give you a clue as to how these break apart. So think about it. So 27 is 27. Do you hear it? So that's your little clue for today. So your job is to complete pages 2 and 3. Make sure that your parents send your teacher a picture of it, and then we're going to move on to lesson 2 tomorrow. Good luck. I hope you do a great job.